How goes it all? Welcome back to Patterson All Properties. Hopefully, you guys having a great and exceptional day. All right, so today I'm going to do something a little different. Done this in a while, but hey, why not get to the brass tactics? We always talk. I was talking about wholesaling properties, rental properties, what the market's doing, what the market may do, what it's not doing, certain places, best places to buy. But I never really go into the best places to rent because we are in a season now where more and more people are possibly going to become renters or stay renters for the foreseeable, at least I'm not going to say for the foreseeable future, but I will say probably for the next 3 to 5 years. In a sense, this is great for us who are landlords and whatnot, because that means somebody's always going to be looking for a place to live, even more so a place to rent, and so they can get themselves on their feet in order for them to be able to afford purchasing a home. So, it's like, anything in this capitalist system or any other system, it's a gift and a curse, pros and cons, but it is what it is. And according to apartment.com, um, here are some of the best places to, as far as the top 10 cities in the United States of America for renting instead of buying. Because you do, and because my mindset is it's not nothing wrong with being a renter forever. You have a lot of rich people who never actually own a house and whatnot. They believe in just rent, like Grant Cardone, great example. He does not own his properties. He rents his property that he lives in. He loves the opposite. He loves the option of being able to leave a certain area. He likes being able to move around. You know, he has that spirit about him, and I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that's a good thing at the end of the day. It's like to have a different kind of aspect and way that you want to live. Because my mindset is at the end of the day, if you want to be able to live a lifestyle that you don't want to have to take a vacation from. So for a lot of people, even during the pandemic, a lot of people moved to other parts of the country, even the world temporarily. Certain instances they moved there permanently, because of the digital nomad community was already a growing thing before the 2020 pandemic, but it definitely has intensified during the pandemic, and I think it will continuously intensify. Even though a lot of corporations have gotten rid of remote working, but I still know that a lot of newer companies that spawn will save so much money by not having to worry about renting so many or any, if any, commercial spaces in the future. So the idea of them being able to have remote workers is a beautiful thing. A lot of entrepreneurs have a lot of remote workers, specifically in other countries, i.e., virtual assistants. So remote working is nothing new, and I know it's here to stay. So I'll leave it at that. But it boils down to it. These are the cities that are the best places to rent right now in 2022, going into 2023, instead of buying. So we got Spokane, Washington. Not a bad area. It's a lot more laid back compared to Seattle, obviously. Um, Austin, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, Raleigh, North Carolina, Seattle, Washington. I love Seattle. Can't wait to go back. Charlotte, North Carolina. I've never, it's crazy. I have family in North Carolina and I've never been to Raleigh, North Carolina or Charlotte. It's always been a small town that my ancestors come from. So I need to go to Charlotte or Raleigh one day. I think I might just take a road trip. Doesn't make any sense. Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. I got family there. Odin, Utah, Provo, Utah, and San Francisco, California. Now, before I go forward, I know the most expensive cities on this list. Well, the most expensive city on that list that I just named. Number one is San Francisco, the most expensive city in the nation, more expensive than living in New York. All right. Who would have thought that was possible? But it is possible. San Francisco and New York, literally the most expensive cities in the whole country to live in. So to me, if you're a working person, and unless you're getting government assistance or you have real estate that's been passed down to you, there's no point of you living in San Francisco or possibly any other part of the Bay Area, because that is the number one part of the country where you can make six figures and we can still live considered living under the poverty line and whatnot in the Bay Area. So it is what it is. I'll just leave it at that. So, but let's start with why Spokane, Washington, which the Pacific Northwest is a very beautiful part of the United States of America. I'm a West Coast guy at heart. I just got back from Los Angeles, but the Pacific Northwest is a beautiful part of the country. And my mindset is, if you are a person who grew up in the Midwest or on the East Coast and you get quote unquote East Coast homesick, then go to Oregon and go to Washington State, and you see areas that the difference is it'll be a lot cleaner. You'll see areas that mimic parts of Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, upstate New York, Pennsylvania, all into one. So you'll be able to still get that because of the geography of the state and whatnot. But article says with Spokane, Washington, you had to have beautiful mountains. I'm a mountain guy. I love mountains in the desert. That's why I like places like Riverside, California, Phoenix, Arizona, and Las Vegas, Nevada. But and it's along the Spokane River. Beautiful city, is great for outdoor adventures. Home to Gonzaga University and Washington State University. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Spokane. And this is going to trip people out. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Spokane, Washington, is $1,100. Okay, $1,192 to be specific. $1,192. Now I don't know about you, but the average rent in the United States right now is basically $1,500. So to me, that's kind of a win-win situation. At the end of the day, I look at it as a win-win situation, and I know that Spokane is considered, a smaller city compared to Tacoma, and obviously Seattle. Seattle's the biggest city in the state of Washington. But to me, I just think it's an opportunity to live in a nice area. It's actually a very beautiful city when you look at it. I know it's in it's more eastern. It's east of Seattle, but it's actually like a beautiful city in regards to the townships and all that good stuff. And it's not that far from, if you like the outdoors, you got a lot of outdoor activity. You'll be right next door to Montana. You're still not that far away from the Canadian border. And if you want the city life, you can always go to Tacoma and Seattle. So something to check out, Spokane, Washington. Now, next city, Austin, Texas. Now, I've been to Austin, Texas. It's a growing city. It's becoming the tech hub. Even the current mayor says that they want to turn Austin into the next San Francisco as an IT metropolis and whatnot in Texas. Austin's a nice city. I like it. It's a state capital. It's a city that's not hurting for jobs, but it is turning into one of the most expensive cities in the state of Texas. Austin, it's like, to me, Austin and Dallas are running neck and neck. Houston is behind them, but it hasn't gotten there yet, even though Houston is the biggest city in the state of Texas and my favorite city in the state of Texas. And I was just there last month in October. But Austin, Texas definitely has its own little vibe to it. And I like the city. And then they have festivals called South by Southwest and Austin City Limits. Austin's home to a large tech industry and top-rated University of Texas at Austin. Rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Austin averages about $1,500, which is an increase of about 18% over 2021. Like I said, the cost of living is going up there tremendously. And the reason why Austin is becoming a more renter-friendly, in a sense, city is because the cost of buying a house now has gotten ridiculous, to the point where realtors says it's up over the price of homes is over 22% in the past year. So the average home in Austin, Texas is about $624,000. So that's why it's more and more people are becoming renters in Austin, or having to probably move an hour outside of Austin. Because even my friend that lives in San Antonio, Texas, he's like Austin's a great place if you make great money in the tech industry. But if not, if you're just your average everyday worker, especially with it being a state capital, a lot of state capital jobs, university jobs and city jobs, and you have a chance because they even have a homeless population there. But most major cities have a homeless population because in the sense, I guess it's easier to be homeless in a big city than it is in a suburb or a small town, because things are much more convenient. But anyways, Nashville, home of barbecue. Tennessee is a big barbecue state. I think Texas and Tennessee always run neck and neck when it comes to the best barbecue. But I've had barbecue from both states. Got great stuff going on. So, it is what it is. No time to hate. It's all time to appreciate, for real. But anyways, it's a music city, Southern Gem, Grand Ole Opry, and a hub for music ranging from country to rock. Over the past year, Nashville's been blowing up. Like, Nashville has gotten expensive to it. Like, it's getting to the point where, like, Miami / DMV area, Northern Virginia, Maryland, and DC expensive. The increase more than 70% when it comes to the cost of living, and the average rent in Nashville, Tennessee now is $1,600. So we're talking about a southern state, not a lot of taxes. It's easier to be rich there. That's why a lot of people from New York and California have moved to Nashville and things of that nature. But because in Hollywood now, it's more of a remote working atmosphere. people can even freaking audition for parts online, and then they can just get an Airbnb or a hotel room wherever the job may be in LA and just be there temporarily and whatnot. So, but anyways, I digress. But yeah, $1,600 for a one bedroom apartment in Nashville, according to the Nashville Greater Realtors. Home prices in Nashville average from $490,000, an increase of about 12.8% over the last year. So, it no matter where you go, you can't. If your money's not right, I always say that's why I would say make money move, so you're going to live broke like a fool. Because even if you move to the quote unquote cheaper states, the quote unquote cheaper states aren't that cheap anymore unless you're living in the smaller towns, and that's in any state. In the rural states where there's not a lot of jobs, not a lot of activity, yeah, your cost of living is going to go down, but can you afford to even live there and live the life of luxury in your own way? Because everybody's definition of luxury is different. So I'll leave it at that. Now we go to Raleigh, North Carolina. It's epicenter of science and technology. I've heard a lot of great things about Raleigh, North Carolina, and one of the things is the cost of living is going up, and you have a lot of thriving businesses happening there. Excuse me, and it's between the ocean and mountains with a roughly 2-hour drive to each one. So it's a beautiful location in that regards. And your average one bedroom apartment in Raleigh, North Carolina, averages about $1,600. So, and it's crazy because you would think that the cost of living would be lower in a place like Tennessee and North Carolina compared to Spokane, Washington. But you see what places are blowing up, and you see what's not blowing up. You've had a 21.6% increase over the last year, and according to the Triangle MLS local market update, as of February this year, 2022, home sale prices have increased 25.4% to $466,000. So $500,000 is becoming the new norm in the United States of America, family. I don't care if you live in New York. I don't care if you live in North Carolina, Texas. It is becoming the new norm that you will pay $500,000 for a house. I'm just saying. All right. Now, going to one of my favorite cities, good old Seattle, Washington. I was supposed to go there this year, but I'm definitely going there in 2023. Very beautiful city, very beautiful atmosphere. Love Seattle, and I'll just leave it at that. So the article says that, it's arguably one of the most beautiful cities in the United States. I tend to agree. The landscape, the geography, the job opportunities, the big tech hub. It's where Amazon's first headquarters was at, to Amazon, Starbucks, Microsoft, etc. And the rents are trending downward in Seattle, which was a surprise to me but to try to buy a house in Seattle has always been outrageous. The average price for a one bedroom apartment in Seattle is about $1,800, which is still higher than the national average. It's a decrease of 25.6% over the last year. And now this is my personal opinion. I think this happened because a lot of people left Seattle during the pandemic. A lot of people left Seattle. The cities, Seattle, New York, all over California, the cities that were on lockdown the longest lost the biggest amount of population, especially once the remote working thing was happening. A lot of people was like, hey, I'm moving to Arizona. I'm moving to Texas. I'm moving to Florida. I'm done. I'm tired of being in a place where I can't enjoy my life. Because after that 1 year, we was all tired of it. It is what it is. And I understood why the lockdowns are so prevalent, but after a year, we was all done. By 2021, everybody was ready to get out and about. So it is what it is on that aspect. But yeah, and the average home price in Seattle averages, this is just starting, $520,000. Like I said, $500,000. And that is still above the national average. Okay. Because the national average, I believe, is at 380, 390, or at $400,000 now. All right, Charlotte, North Carolina, very beautiful city. Like I said, I've been to North Carolina a bunch of times throughout my childhood, and it's sad I've never been to any one of these cities. But anyways, it's known as the Queen City, and it has a variety of things for people to do. They say it's got great weather, right? And you have a lot of great things happening there. One of the busiest cities and biggest growing cities in the whole state of North Carolina. The average one bedroom apartment in Charlotte, North Carolina is about $1,500, which is, still better than Seattle. It has increased by 35.5% over the last year, according to Canterbury Realtor Association, as of May 2022. And the average home price in Charlotte is about $475,000. All right. So something to think about. The list goes on and on. Now we're going to good old Dallas, Texas. All right. I've been to Dallas multiple times. It's a great city. It's got a lot of great things happening. Great job market, especially if you're in the Fort Worth area. You know, if you got a skill set, you got a skill trade. You know, you can make some money moves in Dallas, Texas. I'm just going to leave it at that. But because you know it has a metroplex in the area that covers about 11 counties. Dallas, the average apartment, a one bedroom apartment in Dallas now is $1,800. Rent has increased more than 22% in the last year. And rents in Dallas above the national is above the national average and whatnot. $1,800. Like I said, you would think in the state of Texas it'd be lower than that. So the fact that Spokane, Washington beat them out says a lot. And then two, the fact that they're up there with Seattle says a lot. Okay, so I'll just leave it at that. Um, I'm not going to cover Utah too much because well, it's really only three left. Forget it. Why not? I'll cover Utah. Ogden, Utah, which I'm surprised they're not talking about Salt Lake, Utah, because that's where that's the biggest city in the state, and that's the only city in the state I really want to see. I wouldn't mind seeing the white desert sands and whatnot, but when it comes to Utah, I actually just like to go to places that are just a tad bit more exciting, but that's just my personal opinion, and I'll leave it at that. But anyways, Ogden, Utah has outdoor adventures for bicycling, hiking, and snowboarding. Delivers in a stunning settling. Rent in Ogden is well below the national average. Okay. Oh wow, dang. Well, this is a big surprise. The rent in Ogden, Utah, is at $993. Man, now that is something to say. Okay, that is below $1,000 to be able to find a place to rent for less than $1,000. It says a lot. Like I buy rental properties in Reading, Pennsylvania, and my tenants pay up to 800, 700, 800, $900 and whatnot. So, but that's a way smaller town, which is about an hour outside of Philadelphia. So it's not in a major city. It's not really connected to a major city. It's not really connected to even a major airport and whatnot. So that says a lot. But the $993 is actually an increase of 4.2% over the last year, while home prices have leveled off a bit in Ogden. The average sale price is at $385,000. And to me, that's a great price. $385,000. At one time, that used to be considered high, but now that's just becoming the norm now. I mean, like I said, not the norm now. That's becoming a blessing if your house is below $400,000 in today's world. People don't realize that anymore. You know, so let's see exactly where. All right. So it's not. I'm trying to see. Okay, so it's not that far from. Well, let's see where it's at from Salt Lake City. So there it is. See how far it is. So it's only 36 minutes from Salt Lake City. So to me, that's not a bad thing. I mean, if you had a job in Salt Lake City, that kind of commute, that's a normal thing in the DMV area and most major metropolitan areas. So you know what? Scratch that. Odin, you're all right in my book because for your rent to be at that price and your homes to be at that price, I don't see why it wouldn't be not only a great place to rent, but a great place to buy if you're into that lifestyle. But I think, Utah is one of the most beautiful states in the freaking world. I mean, in the United States of America. A lot of states like that and Colorado, to me, they just get slept on. Very beautiful mountainous states and whatnot. They just have their own little vibe to them. But anyways, next city is Provo, Utah, which is bordering Utah's lake, the home of Brigham Young University, provides dazzling views, great outdoor recreation, and a strong sense of community. Provo rents have increased by 22.1% in the past year, with a one bedroom apartment, and a lot of Californians moved to Utah as well, costing around. So one bedroom apartment's about $1,200. Home prices have come down since they peaked over the summer, but the average price for a house in Provo is about $474,000. So darn near $500,000. And let's see, where is Provo? How far is that from? There it is. So Provo is 45 minutes. So it's south of Salt Lake City. Ogden is north of Salt Lake City. So with that being said, it's like, okay, even if you had a commute, to Salt Lake City, or I'm sure that there's great jobs in the surrounding counties outside of Salt Lake City as well. So, because I know Utah is a state that people sleep on a lot of times, but Utah has a lot going on for it. So there's only a handful of states I actually want to see, and Utah's on the list. Colorado's on the list. I like to look at the mountains and the Rockies and whatnot. But it is what it is. Now, last but not least, we talked about this earlier. San Francisco, one of the most expensive cities in the world, not just the United States, but in the freaking world. Just like London in the UK is one of the most expensive cities in the world. They beat New York City. All right. One of the biggest tech hubs, the most expensive city in the Golden State. It's not a surprise that everything, and I mean everything, has increased in the city of San Francisco. When it comes to rents, hovering in the city of San Francisco for a one-bedroom apartment, you will pay $3,485 for a one-bedroom apartment if you're lucky. Because I know people that rent out rooms in San Francisco for $2,000 a month. Okay, that's insane. Home prices have fallen over the last few months. The average price of a home in San Francisco is still around $1.4 million. $1.4 million. All right. Across the United States, housing costs have increased to record levels. A report by the National Association of Realtors found that home prices have increased more than $10,000 each year since 1990, with nearly one-third of all households spending more than 30% of their incomes on housing. It's more important than ever to find a rental that fits your needs and your budget, no matter where your apartment is located. And bear in mind, San Francisco is still an overcrowded city, and San Francisco has a vibe to it because of the industries that's there and because of the geography of the city. It just has a vibe to it that a lot of people still love being there and they don't want to leave. And you know what? I'm not mad at it. So my mindset is you got to do what's best for you at the end of the day and go from there. So, all right. Now, do the great thing, free things, like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. As I always say, make money moves or you're going to live, bro, like a fool. Take care.